Hola, hola, bienvenidos al NACL. Yo soy Chris Studio Grant, conmigo es Reed Rápido Melton. Y ahora tenemos CompLexity Black contra Seven Wars Lyon. It's going to be a hype match, man.
Yeah, and in case you guys didn't know what Studio is just saying, I want to welcome you back to our second game of the night here at the NACL Season 2. I'm Rapid, that's Studio. You can see our social media information right there. If you guys want to talk to us, we'd love to talk to you. But more importantly, we want to welcome you to our second game of the day. But first off, I want to read some thoughts of what you guys had to say on that last game. I think it was Anthony Matthews at HTTR 2014 said, "Man, that Heaven time, though. That guy was a monster last game." And while a lot of people thought that the first game of the night was pretty incredible, I think it was Matt at lol Pepin said, first game of the match is super hype, and last game should be pretty good as well, but none more so than the game coming up. Let's go ahead and hop into Champion Select for CompLexity Black taking on Seven Wars Lyon.
Of course, Seven Wars Lyon going to be the replacement for Super Team NA, as they have disbanded. And Seven Wars Lyon, a fantastic team from Mexico. I believe they played in the Latin American LCS equivalent, but I don't know a whole lot about that scene, unfortunately. So it'll be cool, though, just to see a mixture of metas, see how they impact the scene. We do see already bans out, though. Evelyn, Nidalee, LeBlanc being banned out, so focus on the jungle, focus on the mid. And then Cass and Lulu, Elise. Of course, lots of mid bans lately, and the occasional jungle ban, as Evelyn, Elise going to be more of the jungle role.
Exactly, and so there's a very different play style that Seven Wars Lyon bring to this. Their jungler Thiak is one of the best Evelyn junglers in League of Legends. His Evelyn is ridiculous. Going back to when One Bad Brad used to play for Curse Academy, that's the only North American team I've seen draw Evelyn bans, but every single time you give that champion Thiak, he's just going to pick it, no questions asked. Going to the Lee Sin this time is kind of his second string pick, and it's a very strong early game jungler that might actually be seeing some nerfs coming up soon. I'm pretty sad about those, but locking it in, it's going to still have that strong early game pressure. So while Seven Wars Lyon, like you said, they play a lot in Latin American tournaments. They played last season in, I believe it was ALCS, but I love seeing them back in the scene because they bring an incredible pool of talent. A little bit of a change up to their roster. Seiya used to be their AD carry, and Yuri, the Uruguayan clothing model, who was also just happened to be randomly challenger and great at League of Legends. He's actually going to be subbing out. Seiya moves from AD carry to mid lane, and now they've got a little bit of a new roster here. So it's nice to see kind of most of the same players continue, but maybe some changes up here. And they are taking on CompLexity Black, a team just coming off of maybe some rough games, but a victory against LMQ last week means that they're still looking good. Probably getting that trademark Ziggs. What are we going to see out here from Lyon?
I mean, they could go for the AD carry support pickup. They know they're going up against Caitlyn, so AD carry is not really a risky pick anymore. I would expect a Lucian to come out, something along those lines. There's always the rare picks, like, let's say, Jinx, but, I mean, he's just so uncommon nowadays. And, of course, they can go for the support pick if they want to try and lock something away, but they already have their Thresh, so that would be confusing. But I would expect, in response, they'll go for a top lane or a Nectin, Shyvana, something safer.
Right.
And they can go ahead and hide the mid lane pick in case they're worried about something coming out that might counter that out.
Exactly. And if you've never gotten a chance to see Seiya play, oh my goodness, this guy is one of the hardest carries I've ever watched. He's a big Diana player. Actually, one of the few mid laners that still plays that champion. It's not something you really see any longer, just because the ability to just farm like a monster is so valuable early game, or I guess mid game more importantly, when you have that big CS lead over your opponent. And going up against probably Ziggs, that's a great champion to play a big farmer against, but locking in the Zed. Not going for that farm game. He's looking for some kills.
Well, you can still farm on Zed, but you can also farm as you kill people on Zed, and that's the fun part. So Zed versus Ziggs, it's actually both a great and terrible matchup, because being a melee champion, he does have shurikens to spam, but Ziggs just tosses bombs at creeps, and Zed will have to be next to them to farm his own minions, and he takes a lot of side damage in that sense. But at the same time, though, if Zed really stays even, he can really start bursting down Ziggs, and Ziggs doesn't have a good response. You can't build a Fiends to counter out the damage like most APs, because he's entirely physical damage. So it's actually a pretty cool matchup if he doesn't lose early.
It just is very risky to do.
It will stop, I believe, Zed's passive. That's about it. Reduce that a bit.
That extra auto attack magic damage really going to get you. But you got that Athenes, it's all good. So It's something that we used to see a lot of Ziggs handle the AD matchup by buying like double Doran's Ring into like Seeker's Arm Guard. That's a very defensive start, and it doesn't give you a ton of mana like having the like either Tear of the Goddess, or I guess you can go Tear in that build.
You can go Tear.
It's all about how far you want to set yourself behind early game instead of starting that that big mid game power spike with Thieves.
It's not a Probably build. Probably loves the aggression, so that's like the rough part. It forces Probably to play more defensive than he would like on Ziggs. We do have Alistar coming out as well, so Alistar, that great defensive champion, he can work versus Thresh, because if Thresh lands a hook onto Alistar, you've hooked an Alistar. That's not really a good thing. And if he lands a hook onto the AD carry in Caitlyn, well, you just use a headbutt onto Lucian, knock him away, and it stops a lot of his damage.
And I actually love that Alistar pickup. Bubba is one of the few Alistar players left. I think we've only seen maybe one other team really run that champion, and with Bubba, a great support player in his own right. And he was kind of king of the Lulu, but with Lulu being banned out just because of the mid lane significance, going with that Alistar, it's a really nice way to deal with Zed, who's going to try to jump in to get a lot of damage down with his ultimate. Can't really do that if you're knocked up or knocked away. So also a nice way to keep Lee Sin or even Zac from being a big thing. And Zac is actually a pick that I probably should have predicted, so it doesn't look like I'm just reacting to that. Porky played Zac online against Seven Wars at IEM Sao Paulo, Brazil. In that matchup, I believe Seven Wars actually beat Lyon 2-0, but it was a very good game to watch, and now Seven Wars actually combining with Lyon after playing against them, so it's nice to see enemies become friends, kind of come together here for tonight's match. And yeah, Porky did okay in that matchup, but it wasn't the strongest performance. And bringing it back, we're going to see Zac versus Dr. Mundo.
Should be fun. Lots of percentage damage on both sides. Lots of sustain on both sides. It's going to be about crushing those blobs. It's two beefcakes, except one beefcake you can stop his regeneration a bit. So I really want to see how they play this. I want to see a lot of aggression from both sides, but at the same time, ganking a Mundo, ganking a Zac. They have some pretty good escapes. Mundo by walking away, and Zac by just kind of slingshotting to safety.
Yeah. Just bouncing himself out of there. And with that, we are going to head into our spectator delay and a quick shout out to our sponsors. If you guys want to check them out, you can head down right below the stream. You can check out all the information, not only about where you can find NACL Esports, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. You can also check out our sponsors at Phoenix Collection. You can click on the Phoenix logo right down below the screen. Head over to there to check out some of the most impeccably crafted gaming peripherals on the market. Headsets, keyboards, mice, and mouse pads. If you guys are interested in that, once again, head over to phoenixcollection.com. Also, you can check out Law Class right down below the screen if you guys are interested in having a very affordable lesson with some of the best LCS pros on some of their favorite champions. Head over to lawclass.com and sign up.
We, of course, have Loot Crate. They've been with us since the start, but for $13.37 a month, you can get a crate of loot sent straight to your door. That crate will always contain something a little bit random, usually an assorted amount of goodies, nerd swag, peripherals, just cool nerd objects. Really highly recommend it. You can check out the link down below. I believe this month the theme is Attack on Titanfall, which that would be a combination of Attack on Titan and Titanfall goodies. I think possibly the shirt might be themed after that as well. So go ahead, check out Loot Crate down below. But with that, we got Seven Wars Lyon going up against CompLexity Black, two incredibly powerful teams. This is going to be the debut of Lyon here at the NACL. So get hype. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back here at the North American Challenger League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 2 of the North American Challenger League. We're here in our third day of the week to bring you guys our second game of the night. CompLexity Black, your team in the blue, on the left-hand side of your screen, taking on 7 Wars Lyon. They're your team in the red on the right. And coming into tonight's games, Lyon is a little bit of a new team, taking on one of the old favorites, previously known as FXO, and then To Be Determined, and then Determined Gaming, and well, now they're CompLexity Black. So nice to see CompLexity back in the scene, and after a brief pause, we're back underway.
Now you can see the invade coming out from CompLexity Black. Here's the thing. They're not going to be there in time. Zach's not going to make it. If CompLexity Black sets up, yeah, he will get into the brush. If they just rush it, oh, they're not going to go for the rush. They still might catch him out, though.
Oh, he is waiting right there. Cleaver does land on Zach. Where's the stun skilled up? No, Dot wanted to go for the defense, and wow, nice flash over the wall. He's a tiny little Zach, but he gets out.
Did he miss his elastic slingshot? I think he did. Like, it looks like he skilled it up, tried to get over the wall with it, missed it, then had to blow the flash. So an easy summoner burned from CompLexity Black. This gives them a decent advantage top lane. They can now go for a gank and not have to worry about Zach being able to both elastic slingshot away and have that flash available to set it up. Now what they can do is just send Pantheon top lane. If Zach starts to charge up the slingshot, you use the stun from Pantheon, and you wait for Mundo to set up the gank more so than Pantheon setting it up with his stun. That's going to be really rough for Lyon, because that's actually a very, very easy gank to secure, but they do not have Ignite.
Now, Lyon, since their inception, have always been a very jungler-centric kind of team. Even back in the day when Hacker V2 used to play, and even especially so now that Thiak is just such a hard carry from the jungle. I'm expecting a lot of things from Lee Sin, even very early on. And Thiak is actually one of the only junglers that still does level 2 ganks. And you'll notice him actually trying to start at the red buff, which gives him a lot of early pressure top lane. Mundo, very weak early on. Very susceptible to somewhat cheesy, very early ganks. I
actually really like the idea if they do go for the level 2 gank top lane, just because Mundo, they need to shut him down now before Zach gets ganked by Pantheon. That gank will most likely happen. The Pantheon is so set up to take out Zach. It's not even funny how easy that gank could be if Zach is pushed up at all. So if they get the early kill, they can really kind of protect Zach, which is going to be important if they want him to scale well into the mid game. If not, since they both have scaling percentage damage, Mundo and Zach, if Mundo can out-beef Zach, then Zach will just kind of get pushed back in lane and have quite a rough time.
Yeah, now it does look like it's a more standard start in the jungle. Lee Sin's actually going to do the Wraith Camp instead of the Wolf Camp to get a little bit more out of that, and he has very good single target and area of effect damage. Level 1. Lee Sin, great early game jungler, and it's sad to see maybe a little bit of those nerfs coming his way later on, but for right now, he's still in a very, very good place. And Pantheon, very strong early on as well, but with both junglers just about to hit level 3 off of their blue buffs, it'll be interesting to see what they do on opposite sides of the map.
Zach getting pushed in will be safe for now, as it's going to be hard to lock him down underneath the turret. You can see right now Westrice doesn't really care about him because Zach just doesn't have good answer. Zach actually doing pretty well in CS though, as he's only behind by 3 despite being pushed in. Mid lane Sia taking a lot of pressure from Prolly. This is Zed early game. The lanes are actually pretty weak early game for 7 War Lyon. The issue is they scale so well at level 6, level 7, but they don't have that scaling quite yet, so they gotta kind of hold that out. Fresh Lucian though should be pretty solid overall. Another pause coming out. Hopefully this is just a short one.
Right, and shouldn't see too much happening here early on anyway. I was hoping for the early gank because I love seeing things played a little bit different. And I remember back in the days, like Season 1, it was like, oh, do I start at double golems for my jungle path? And now you'd never see that happen. And back in especially Season 2 and early Season 3, level 2 ganks were expected. Every single game, snowballs happened very, very quickly. But at least this time around, it's very passive. You get to level 3, farm up your camps, then go for like a level 3, level 4 gank if you are going to gank that early instead of just farming to 6. But now it's actually Thiak's starting to put some pressure on to
Ziploc.
Yeah, okay, that's Ziploc. I was like, temp name 0, all right, it's Ziploc. So he's going to be subbing in once again. Broken Shard, not quite back, but should be back for CompLexity Black tomorrow for their game then. So it's nice to see maybe some sub strength coming in, and actually Ziploc looked very, very good yesterday.
Oh yeah, he's done incredibly well on his sub games. And of course, Broken Shard He has to make sure that he doesn't end up getting deported. That could be a pretty big issue if he ever plans to play in the U.S. again. So I do like him being safe with that. In comes though Ziploc for the gank.
Yeah, now Seiya will get bounced right back in perfect timing from Ziploc. Like, that was picture-perfect Pantheon gank, and especially a pull of the Lantern coming back in. Bubba Dub going to be hard-pressed to get out of here. Red buffs are down, and the damage continues. We're looking for Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike to pick up the kill. Doesn't want to dive in Alistar. Good play there.
I mean, it can go pretty terribly wrong pretty fast. Also, Alistar still had a flash, still had exhaust. A lot of damage up in the top lane. This is a huge start for CompLexity Black as they can keep applying pressure to Zed now. Probably will have just so much control in the lane with that early first blood. Of course, also past the 4-minute mark as well, giving him the maximum amount of gold you can get for that first kill. This is going to be rough. Seiya can keep himself alive, but he has to focus more on the farm game, focus more on just being passively pushed in and picking up what he can, which means Zed doesn't get to roam. Zed doesn't get to apply that extra bit of pressure, and it kind of really delays that Zed mid-game you normally want to see.
Now, with Zach getting pushed in top lane, that means that the lanes are actually doing fairly well for CompLexity Black, and something that I guess Meteos was very famed for saying is, if your lanes are winning, you put pressure as a jungler on the other jungler. And Thiak actually may be able to withstand that relatively well because he's the one that's going to be looking to bring his lanes back from maybe a little bit of an early deficit. Bottom lane actually getting shoved in here. Death Sentence there on to Caitlyn, takes an Ardent Blaze, but actually the counter engage flash immediately counter flashed there. There's Zul, man. He was getting out of there.
Flash for flash, that mid-air headbutt flash, of course, always fun to see. They go for the engage. They don't have that much burst. Lucian, of course, does have decent level 2 to level 5 burst, but because Caitlyn has so much sustain, because you have the Alistar sustain and she still has barrier up, they unfortunately could not accomplish quite enough. Gonna stomp on that Zac Blobla up there. Zac has just been getting destroyed top lane. 21 CS to 40 on Mundo. Mundo just having the beefier, higher damage, and of course Zac without the flash can play a lot more passively early on. And this is just kind of a rough start for Seven Wars Lyon. They can keep going for laning, but they really need to get Lee Sin in there. They need to start picking up some kills because Zed's going to be so constrained by that Ziggs advantage right now. Bot lane can do well, but they're always at risk of being ganked by someone like, I don't know, Captain Ziploc is going towards the bot lane right now.
Yeah, and right on time. He's going to be able to get in there. Nice headbutt. The Pulverize is going to come out there too, if necessary. Or nice Pulverize instead of the headbutt. And that's going to be one dead support. Ner'zhul going down for the second kill of the game for CompLexity Black.
And this means Pantheon just getting stronger and stronger. He's getting towards level 6 incredibly fast. And at that point, Pantheon's just walking into lane right now and he's picking up those kills. Give him level 6, he's going to be flying into lane. Actually, aggression at the top lane, though.
Let's bounce onto Westrise. He just flash away the extra move speed from there. And there's the stretching strike. Porky taking him down. Nice Ignite to stop the healing. And then Let's Bounce actually dealing some deceptive damage and also giving him the mobility out Westrise.
Yeah, Let's Bounce does give incredibly high movement speed. It scales over the duration. And the damage on Let's Bounce, it always looks low, but you're going to apply it essentially 2 times because it will hit 3 times total, but has reduced damage on the second 2 hits. So Let's Bounce an incredibly good skill when you can get that full damage. And of course, Mundo going to be running away more so than blinking away or flashing away. So that evens up top lane quite a bit. Still a CS advantage, very slight in favor of Mundo as Zac has really caught him quite well. It's going to be kind of rough for Westrise if he does go down again, but no Ignite for a good 180 seconds at this point. That is enough time for Westrise to get the ultimate back up, to go ahead and sustain, and stay safe, stay alive.
All right, so early strength in the jungle actually coming out from Captain Ziploc, whereas I really expected it to come out from Thiak. Whereas in lane, I expected to see strength from CompLexity Black, and is actually Porky, who lost his lane so far early on and then won it back by picking up that kill. And now comes back to lane with extra sustain, but same thing for Dr. Mundo as well.
Man, I want to see Zac keep picking up kills just because Zac top lane has been so rare. Maybe that is that Mundo counter we did not know about, unlike the other Mundo counters which we do know about and tend to do quite well. Still though, Zac just has really high damage. It's kind of unexpected because the animations aren't necessarily that flashy, but he can always apply most of his spells very reliably every 4 to 8 seconds depending on which one. And if you're someone like a melee champion like Mundo, if you're not tossing cleavers from range, you're gonna get hit. And that damage, it builds up slowly over time, and it's going to be quite impactful. The Giant Spell from Westrise will give him more HP on the ultimate, but the issue is there is that scaling damage on Zac's I believe it's his W, the small AoE around him. So if he ever goes melee range, he'll actually take more damage from Zac's moves, but from that range cleaver spam, he should be a little bit safer.
All right, well, that's top lane, and while top lane has been kind of a wet noodle fight for most lanes, it's actually a little bit more action-packed this time around, so we may actually talk about action happening up there. But to be honest, more action than not has been happening down bottom. We've seen a couple of nice ganks, and really with Bubba just playing that super aggro Alistar. It's like aggro star down there. Going in for early flashes, forced out Ner'zhul's flash, and then just jungle pressure after that. Without flash... Ner'zhul's actually really, really rough, but
Here comes Pantheon. Here comes Pantheon.
And
He's
right
in the mini-map. He's looking for it. Lee Sin's gone too.
Yeah, recall back to base. Not great timing on that by Thiak. We're going to see Pantheon jump in here in just a second. Not Pat. He's just so synonymous with Pantheon right now. There's the Grand Skyfall coming in right on time on a Ner'zhul, and there's the headbutt pulverize, and Ziploc with another kill, now 3-1 for CompLexity Black.
And that is Pantheon. One more time. Every time you have the ultimate up, you just go bot and you get a kill. It's so hard to stop, especially with Alistar. That reliable initiation is just so good. That is its advantage. It is going to get you to the fight. Most champions have issues with that because of his high base moves, because he still has a Gap Blizzard. Afterwards, he's going to get that stun off, he's going to get that kill. Dragon now looks like it's going to be taken down pretty quickly by CompLexity Black. With that early kill advantage, they can just very quickly transfer that. So 10-minute Dragon. Not the fastest Dragon, not the latest Dragon though. Definitely taking control of their advantage in the bot lane. And really this is just building up more so for Caitlyn. So the kills aren't really going towards Caitlyn, but she's getting a CS lead. She can keep pressuring Lucian, and there's not a lot Lucian can do about it. He has decent damage, he has a BF sword, he has a lot of burst, but he's going to be being pushed in now. And when he gets pushed in, he has to fight the minions more, so it's hard to land a death sentence through that. When they're pushed out, they get Pantheon gang. Though Lee Sin is in the area. Looking for that damage.
Thiak is going to have to bide his time here. He doesn't want to get completely countered by Bubba, but now coming in, we've got the move forward flash. There's the flay headbutt onto Ner'zhul. There's the pulverize. Catches out Thiak. Flash out. Robert Exley gets caught by the death sentence and the sonic wave. Double skill shots landed on him. He's got a magnet in his pockets or something. Goes down. Second kill for 7 Wars Lion.
And they convert that to anything, though. That kill's nice, but it's going to be worth anything in the long run. It's going to be, 300, 400 gold for the side of 7 for Lion, but they need objectives. They're behind in Dragon, they're a little bit behind in overall CS, and of course, the kills bottom have really been racking up in favor of Pantheon and his aggression, so they need to really convert some CS lead, convert some towers and objectives. Top lane, see West being hunted down,
going hard for this one. Ignites down, the death sentence, or the death mark will pop, and you can tell there's a little bit of miscommunication there. It was Porky saying, all right, we're going to go for this, and Saya did have some nice follow-up, but because the stretch, or the elastic slingshot didn't hit, there was a little bit of question, like, do we go hard for this? Do we blow our flashes? The answer, of course, was yes, and a lot of resources used there just to kill off Westrice, but to be honest, the early game pressure on Dr. Mundo may really stop him from being that big mid to late game threat, at least for a little while.
Of course, that's a kill onto Zed. Zed, we don't see him a whole lot, but when Zed racks up those kills, Deathmark is almost a guaranteed assassination until champions start picking up the Silver Sack. Even then, if you get far enough ahead, you can still kill people without the Deathmark. It's actually amazing and also terrifying to watch. So they need Zed to start racking up kills. They want Zed to be able to pressure someone. Probably is now immune to Zed damage because he has Zhonya's Hourglass, rushed it defensively. If Zed uses Deathmark, he'll pop Zhonya's Hourglass, will negate all of the Deathmark damage and probably negate a lot of, say, skill shots. So they need him to be able to go ahead, burst down Caitlyn, burst down the scarier champions over on the side of CompLexity Black. So he needs those kills, and he needs those kills fast.
Exactly, and that's the build we talked about earlier on. You don't go for Chalice of Harmony, you respect the Zed, and when you pick up Zhonya's Hourglass, it gives you armor versus physical damage and the immunity to Deathmark. So great build there from Prawley, and actually, when I looked down and saw it completed Zhonya's Hourglass, I was like, wait, what? That's a little bit early, because usually we do see that Chalice. We're just used to seeing that, and you forget about the Zhonya's timing. So it's going to keep him safe, but no Zhonya's Mundo just yet. We'll have to wait for like wizards like Darien to pull that out, but
yeah, quite different style of build to go for that Zhonya's. Just saw Zhonya's in every champion. The active's actually good on almost every champion. It's just that AP may not be the most effective stat for let's just say half the cast. But regardless, probably because he goes for the Zhonya's, he's not that effective. He doesn't have as high as burst or sustain. So if you go for Deathcap Rush, you have the burst. If you go for a Themes, you'll have that sustain in terms of mana. He actually has to be a little bit conservative with his spells because Ziggs does have high mana cost, and he also has very spammable spells, so you can go out of mana very quickly in the mid lane. So it actually kind of slows down Ziggs, but if they can keep getting blue buffs on a Prawley, if they can actually go for a blue buff like they are right now, that gives them a whole lot more control. Let's probably kind of play that aggressive game one more time.
Yeah, stealing this away from Prolly is going to be a big, big deal. But to be honest, it's more about kind of the Dragon pressure that you can see there being put on. Ziplock's in the area for that, but Porky's just going to kill this top turret. Thiak's going to come in around behind. Oh, poor Westrise. A 1v3. Death Marks down and Ignite as well. Another kill onto that top lane. Now 0-3 Westrise has been the target of a lot of aggression so far. Dragon's coming up in 2 minutes, so that should be what we see coming out next as far as big objectives for both teams. But this is going to be first turret of the game, taken down by Captain Ziplock.
They take down mid, bottom almost going down as well, but top is responded to by 7 War Lion. Pantheon actually holding in the bot lane. Thresh does get hit by the damage. They should be able to disengage from this, but here comes Prolly. Yeah,
there's a flay backwards. Prolly's got some damage, but to be honest, no follow-up. A nice flay backwards there from Thiak, or from Ner'zhul rather, kind of stopping all of that aggression there. CompLexity Black, they try to make a play. I think that was, I don't know why you choose that timing, because Dragon's right about to come back up. They get a chance to go back to base and buy, so they will be very strong for this upcoming aggression. And ooh, especially the buy there for AD carry. Robert X. Lee picking up Bloodthirster and Berserker Greaves just in time for Dragon.
Yeah, compare to Lucian, who only has the Zerker's Greaves, or the Bloodthirster. No Zerker's Greaves is actually his issue. And that's going to kind of keep him a little bit less mobile. That mobility is huge on Lucian. You need it for chasing with the pulling. You need to be able to kind of dip in and dip out of fights, unlike Caitlyn, who can kind of sit back with the range. So let's see if we can really punish that over on CompLexity Black. But that peak ward being taken out, because they did go back to buy, this means the map control on ward vision should be going towards 7 wards, as Dragon's going to be up in about 35 seconds. But the thing is, Lyon doesn't have exact Dragon timing. They don't know the exact second it's going to be spawning because they didn't actually see it go down. This means CompLexity Black, they can kind of come in at the perfect moment to counter their Dragon, counter the vision. Like, they're sitting in the pit, but they've got a good 20 seconds till Dragon respawns.
Exactly, and this is a little bit early. You can see both teams wanted to go back and buy right before this timing. The unfortunate situation is that I don't think Lucian got a chance to go back to base before Dragon. So it's a fresh Robert X. Lee right with those big items, and Rux has, or Westrise rather, too many Dr. Windows these days. Westrise has teleport, so he can just take that turret back. This is a nice opportunity to win the lane. A nice slingshot over the wall into that left valve, pulling and pushing Bubba right back in. I don't care how much damage reduction you have, you can't survive the entire team, but a little bit spread out. 7 Wars Lion could turn this right back around. Sonic Wave Burning Strike flash out from the act, but going down. There's Porky trying to get back to the back line. Ignites down onto Robert X. Lee. He's going to try to barrier out the damage. He's barely going to stay alive. Barely alive there in the back. Double trinket wards over the back. There's actually the, wow, that was a Youmu's Ghost Blade pop going back into the fight. Nice to see Sia going deep, but unable to pick up a kill. Now Porky's going to get shot out of the air into his passive, and I don't think Ner'zhul is going to be able to save him.
Oh, here comes Prolly, though, going for the chase. Oh, there goes Lucian. There goes the Rampage. Will it be a 5-for-1 just to get one more kill onto the Thresh, trying to walk away, trying to scatter out of there. He's going for the skedaddle, but the bombs are going to keep going. Death Sense onto a blue that's not there. That's got to sting.
Yeah, if only you just left the blue buff for after the Dragon. No escape there for Ner'zhul, and after all of that, a great engage. The counter engage was interesting, but just too much one at a time for 7 Wars Lion. CompLexity Black playing the team fight beautifully, and Robert X. Lee had a lot of pressure, but he dealt with it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, so there was good positioning because when Zach went in, it turns out that Bubba was in the perfect position to absorb that death sentence, and he got focused on first, but so much was burned just to kill a poor Alistar. They did milk those, unfortunately. But so they burned down Alistar. There were still 4 perfectly fine, perfectly strong champions on the side of CompLexity Black. They kind of turned that around, and with Seiya arriving to the fight late, he couldn't use the ult to burst someone down immediately. They'd already all used their spells. He did get Pantheon, but he was so far behind the turret in all of CompLexity Black that he just got nuked down immediately. So it became a 1-for-1 as Seiya burned everything to kill someone at the very end of that fight. So it's a little bit unfortunate with the positioning, and CompLexity Black did have that pretty decent gold advantage. Now ahead by about 5k. This is not enough to guarantee a victory, but with the way their games is going, with the way the pressure can be applied, and with how much protection they can actually offer Caitlyn between Ziggs bombs, Mundo cleavers, Pantheon stun, of course Alistar himself being one of the best peelers for any AD carry in the game, they can really kind of play a little bit farther back, play fifth carry, and it's going to be really hard for 7 Wars Lion to break that.
Now Robert X. Lee, we've all seen what he can do when CompLexity Black run the protect the AD carry composition. And while they don't have quite that comp this time around, Robert X. getting going is not something that Lyon, or Seven Wars Lyon, really want to deal with. So 80 carry rolls, definitely going over to CompLexity Black, but you have to look towards that mid and top, both of which are very strong for Seven Wars Lyon. The only problem is that Seiya actually chose to go for the sort of the Dade build, where you rush that Yomu's Ghost Blade instead of the active from Blade of the Ruined King. And I feel like the Blade of the Ruined King burst might have been enough to take out Robert there, because he actually used the Yomu's early. Oh, Mega Inferno Bomb and that man drop coming in there. They're going to kick Mundo all the way over the wall. Gets the blue, gets out alive.
Maybe not quite alive yet. There's the Alistar not on his team. Didn't really have a good way
Not
to
sure why he was walking towards Baron, though. Maybe he was looking to safeguard over to Seiya?
Well, Bubba Dub was coming towards him, so they had to immediately disengage. And now Seiya in a lot of danger. Just going to ult in response, though.
Oh, and
be A-okay. All right.
Hey, Bubba Dub.
Adios, Bubba Dub.
MVP for Seven Wars Lyon right there, Bubba Dub. A lot of nice knockbacks. It was Thiak that actually knocked him way over the wall at blue buff, and then nice to see Bubba Dub returning the favor, keeping him alive.
I mean, like, that was he did play great this game, but that was kind of an oops. As, yeah, Porky just going to walk out of there. Like, they're not going to fight each other. They could go for a long fight, but both sides know there's more than enough time for reinforcements to be called in. In the bot lane, you can see a lot of damage with Robert X. Lee. He does, of course, play that squishy champion, but his AD and lifesteal means he can sustain very quickly if there's no real counter pressure coming out, and Lucian will be forced back to base.
Oh, Death Sentence on to Captain Ziploc. He's going to be able to block one turret shot. That's 1, 2, Thew, Ner'zhul. The OP support Thresh gank. Top lane working out.
I really like that response, though, because had that been a Death Sentence on the West Brace, he would have made it out of there A-okay. So if you're not a tanky top laner, do not go by the turret. You're going to get hooked and you're going to die. The bottom pressure coming out from CompLexity Black, take out the turret. No issues whatsoever. They don't have a good way to stop Caitlyn pressure, unless they go all in with a Zed play, or maybe come in with a Zac ultimate. But Zac's trying to hold top lane versus Mundo. We'll have teleport up, so a lot of map control going to CompLexity Black because of that.
Wester's just standing there taking those stretching strikes, and I don't think that's necessarily the greatest way to counter out Zac, but we're starting to see Porky really win out this lane. It's a rush to Spirit Visage, and Porky actually went towards that Spirit Visage first against the Dr. Mundo, who went for additional armor and magic damage. The build's just, Porky's just fully countering him out there. Like,
yeah, but Porky can only really counter him out. If you look at the team fights, it's Caitlyn, it's Pantheon that are actually shredding Porky down in those team fights. So if it was just laning, that would be great for Porky, but they've really been losing in the team fights more so than just outright, just straight up ganks and laning. So Porky can survive Mundo up top lane. He will beat him still, despite Mundo's gold advantage from his CS lead and the turret lead. But that doesn't really matter if they're grouping up as 5, and that's what's really giving CompLexity Black those massive, massive advantages. 7,000 gold in their favor. They could start going for the Baron pressure. Going to be a little bit less likely, though, as they can just go for safe for Dragon pressure, go for another Dragon 5v5, and they should be able to kind of win it cleanly. They just don't have a way to. They don't have a way to kill Prolly, Caitlyn, and Mundo all at the same time over on Seven Wars Lyon. They have great ways to kill one of them. They can blow Zed ultimate and Zac ultimate to take out Caitlyn, the AD carry. But then Prolly, of course, will be safe because of his Zonias. They can't go for him. And his damage is really amping up quite a bit. He has Lich Bane Zonias, which means even if you dodge his skill shots, he still gets that really, really high burst on the Lich Bane.
All right, so with Porky coming back to that top lane, he's got his buddy Ner'zhul up there, but they may be facing some extra attention from Bubba Dub, Captain Ziploc, and of course Robert X. Lee in lane. So they're just kind of bodyguards. They're like, all right, Robert, you get your staff here, your Secret Service.
Yeah, you try and go for him. Let's see what you can do, Seven Wars Lyon. We got dudes. We got protection over here. Protection will reveal itself. The men in black suits. Going to be hovering over the VIP. And Caitlyn, of course, will be a VIP in team fights. It's going to be hard to keep them alive, even with Alistar, even with their CC, just because that is Zac Zed. They will get to Caitlyn, but it might just take a quick headbutt, a quick pulverize to kind of stop that Zed damage and keep Caitlyn alive. That Bear will actually do a lot to defend himself versus Zed.
And a cool thing to stop the engage, like you said, Zac's going to be able to slingshot himself way to the back line, CompLexity Black. But if you actually headbutt or I think it's pulverize. If you pulverize right in the middle of the trajectory of the classic slingshot, it stops the slingshot from working.
Yes,
so
it's a knock effect.
Exactly, and it's a great way to keep sort of easy dive comps from getting to the back.
Oh, there's the easy dive, though.
Yeah, forcing the flash out from Prolly immediately, and that's sort of a reflexive thing from Seven Wars Lyon. You want to go in immediately onto that, but just forcing that flash out is a nice nice pickup there. Now, probably actually picked up a Lich Bane after that Zhonya's Hourglass, so mana might be an issue for that Ziggs.
Well, they're not looking for the spam. All the pushing and pressure is actually coming out from Caitlyn more so than Ziggs. And so, because probably he doesn't have the mana to spam, he cannot go for an extended siege. But what Lich Bane provides is he can just kind of focus down whoever's being targeted. And normally Ziggs damage can be a little bit unreliable. You can try and blow your full combo, but against someone mobile like Zed, against someone who's relatively mobile like Zac and Sen, it can really be hard to lock down those targets. So instead of going for the hard, I'm going to blow up the entire team build, this is more about just spamming up the bombs. They'll always have Lich Bane proc active, which means he actually has incredibly high auto attack damage. He's more like an auto attack AP carry right now, more so than a normal AP carry. Once he gets more AP from, like, let's say a Death Cap or something along those lines, and yeah, of course, he's blowing up everybody. But right now he can help keep himself alive because of Zhonya's and then protect Caitlyn against a Zed diving her, against a Lee Sin diving her. Because Zed's going to be the big issue. Seiya is the scary threat around Seven Wars Lion, and they're really kind of building to stop Seiya and stop all the pressure.
Probably just multitasking. He's like, I'm going to do some jungling, just drop a bomb to mid lane, don't have to go there anymore because my ultimate's super balanced and stuff like that. But it was a nice way to clear things out, and now probably talked about how he might have mana issues. He's got a blue buff, so it'll be good for next few minutes. CompLexity Black, great on the objective control. They've got 6 turrets, 3 dragons, and really only having lost that 1 turret. Impressive control so far.
Yeah, this has been very map-oriented from CompLexity Black. They did kind of give up the laning, but their laning actually, like, they won their lanes. They gave up lane top lane primarily, and their focus has been on team fight, and they're transferring so long to team fight phase that there hasn't been really a good response from Seven Wars Lion. It's hard to respond against this team comp. How do you dive into this unless you find someone off on their own? And so far, no one has been isolated, except for the occasional Westrice, occasional Pantheon play. And even then, it takes so long to kill someone like Mundo that Seven Wars Lion almost wastes time killing him. They still get some gold out of it, but then you'll see a bot turret go down because all of that focus and energy was on that Mundo rather than defending their turrets.
Now you actually see the Morellonomicon picked up there from Probably. Does give him some mana regen. It's not the Athene's Unholy Grail though that we're used to seeing, but it is a little bit more damage for a little bit less magic, magic resistance and less mana regen overall. So it also helps out really well against Zac, who wants to do a ton of regenning in team fights, and kind of similar to what you'd buy against Westrice's Dr. Mundo.
It helps against Zac. It actually helps against the AD carries as well, as it does shut down that lifesteal down to about 50%. So it's just a really efficient item overall. The reason you don't see it very often is because most people that would buy it would buy an Athene's. But
there's a 2-man Baron happening right now. CompLexity, they're doing really good at using that extra block passive, and Ziploc taking that free Baron with Robert X. Lee. Too much zone. The pressure bottom lane draws Lucian down there to try to keep that base turret from going down, and that's a free Baron for CompLexity Black.
Yeah, they have that pressure. They have that map control. Just going ahead, take control. There was no way to really stop it. They cannot fight CompLexity Black right now. And Black, they're not taking any risks. They're just kind of going forward, going safe.
The dive in there on it probably gets immediately headbutted back. Porky in a little bit of trouble. Gets bounced up, and there's those blobs. They're going to come out there, forcing the engage from the rest of Lyon. Westrice on the side, but that going down before any action hits. It's a double kill, starting it off there. Caitlyn taking down 2. Probably's going to go dominating as he picks up the 3rd kill, taking out Zac. And now with the team fight solidly in their favor, just a little bit miscoordinated there. Porky went in early. There wasn't the follow-up as Porky Seiya. That was supposed to be the dive combo that picked off Probably, but played it a little bit too safe, and now it's actually, I don't think this is his game, but it's definitely 2 inhibitors.
I mean, they cannot kill Probably. He has Zhonya's. Zed is worthless versus him right now, just because he's going to be a bit too tanky with that Zhonya's. He can block out so much damage. It's 14,000 gold, 15,000 gold even, in favor of CompLexity Black. They may not win the game right now, but they have so much gold across the map. They have a Caitlyn that is 315, has Last Whisper, Static Shiv, Bloodthirster, and compare that to Lucian, who's trying to finish what seems to be I guess the Last Whisper at this point. He's nowhere near a Triforce. He is nowhere near a sort of major item right now. So they're going to get hit by a trap. They're not going to go on it over in CompLexity Black. The range poke have taken him quite low. They're just going for more objectives, more inhibitors. They have a lot of gold in their inventory. If they do lose this fight, they can come back stronger.
All right, now a nice pulverize to keep Zac off the back line, and now Zac actually not a big force in this because, oh wait, he's the first to die. Ner'zhul also going to fall down there, and now it's CompLexity Black coming all the way through the base, just wanting those super minions as linebackers. put some Nexus damage down. Now, Nexus turret's going to be forced to be damaged first, and there's Ziploc just going deep and maybe a little bit too deep, but he's just throwing it for the rest of his team. It's a worthwhile sacrifice, death sentence for the double kill, but at what cost? It's going to be one Nexus turret down, a second one about to fall, but with 2 suicides on the Nexus fountain. There's actually the Nexus turrets going down there. Probably going to try to catch out onto, oh, godlike performance as he does catch out. Lucian, Seiya running for his life. Can he escape in time? Nice knock-up damage down onto Probably. Flashes back. He's not going to get those last auto attacks, and Seven Wars Lion could hold on for just a little bit longer. Westrise coming in from behind. He and Bubba Dub are both very, very tanky, but do they have the tank stats just to suicide in here for the Nexus? Actually, Bubba Dub's going to go on it. Is he going to be able to end the game? Everybody's chasing out Westrise. They don't. They ignore the cow and the super minions. Lose the Nexus, and the game. Seven Wars Lions will fall to now an inherited 1-11 record, whereas great performance from CompLexity Black, continuing to use the sub, working out well with Captain Ziploc, and really excited to see what they can do tomorrow once Broken Shard comes back.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him again. He actually guest casted for us last season. It was definitely fun to listen to Broken Shard and Nintendo Dex be best friends and not at all harass each other on a stream.
Not even
But
once.
with that, I believe it's 8-4 now for CompLexity Black. They do still have that third place spot in their division, but they're getting stronger. They're one of those, could be a first place contender. We don't know how the top's going to really kind of pan out because every team is looking so strong right now. Up next, though, we've just went through Seven Wars Lion versus CompLexity Black. Going to be Cognitive going versus Cloud9 HyperX Tempest. This will be the new Cognitive. I believe they might be using, actually no subs for them today. So,
but they will still be losing bans because yesterday they didn't lose bans when they should have. So it's a little bit of an inherited lack of bans for them. We'll have that game and a whole lot more to keep in mind tonight, culminating with LMQ Tianzi iBuy Power facing off against Team 8. So stick around for that game and a whole lot more when NACL returns right after this.